Yeah, we back in it. Um, let's get right to it. Uh, Here we go. This is when a crossover feels illegal. Let's go.
Mighty Morphin and Zeo. Look, I see Turbo.
Jungle Fury and Ninja Storm?
And Samurai. They're all here.
The greatest crossover since Endgame. Yeah, no.
No.
You know, for a crossover to work, you gotta lay the right foundations. It takes years, maybe even decades, to write enough storytelling into each individual character to make the spectacle of them being on one screen feel that epic. It's probably the most valid take I've seen post Endgame, that if there was another Infinity War, it just wouldn't hit the same because we aren't getting the fertilizer of interpersonal relationships or character development to the same degree that we got beforehand. The scene is from Power Ranger Megaforce's season finale, and seeing so many Rangers in one shot is cool, but also refusing to pay the original actors anything decent to be in this episode other than a couple of generous cameos resulted in most of the Rangers feeling more like metal spandex humanoid figures fighting with no character or personality. Nothing. But before Endgame, before Megaforce, before, I don't know, OKKO, there was an episode that set the standard of what an amazing crossover should feel like. And that episode was the Forever Red episode from Power Rangers. Now, personally, I grew up on the Disney era of Power Rangers, but my affinity for the older content comes from the fact that I got a certain DVD for my birthday. The DVD was The Power Rangers, the Ultimate Rangers Edition, and I would watch it religiously. Like, bro, I'm telling you, this is not a joke. I was the Winter Soldier ulting every single weekend on this DVD. The DVD was a collection of some of the most pivotal episodes in the Power Rangers series at that point, all compiled into one viewing experience for the 10-year anniversary of the franchise. You had episodes like White Light, Countdown to Destruction, To the 10th Power, and Trakeena's Revenge. Each of these episodes showing a lot of the high stakes and edge I really like from the older series. An edge that, in my opinion, was kinda lost when the IP was bought by Disney. Not to say that I didn't like it, but I'm just saying, I feel like there's a difference here in terms of scale and seriousness. I don't know, man, it just felt like the Rangers couldn't solve all their problems within one episode. Like, bro, if they lose entire planets, civilizations, gone in a flash to robot armies and enslavement. Another reason why I love the older series was because of the way it was interconnected. Like each series stood on top of the previous one, and it felt like it was part of something bigger than it ever could be individually. All of this climaxing to the final episode of that DVD, being the ultimate send-off to the 10-year anniversary. An episode that was permanently imprinted on my preteen mind, and now that I'm an adult, is slowly resurfacing as an obsession the more I talk about it. The episode in question was the 34th episode of Power Rangers Wild Force, and it was accurately titled Forever Red. Now, I'm going to talk about why this episode was so special to me, and to the franchise as a whole, to be honest, but in order to do that, we need some much needed context.
And finish up your morning start with Power Rangers! Catch the best this Saturday on GMTV.
In case you had no idea, Power Rangers is actually more of a dubbed Japanese adaptation rather than its own original concept. Licensed by BVS Entertainment, formerly known as Saban Productions, it was one of the many shows Japan labeled as Tokusatsu, which is basically the label Japanese media have for the genre of live-action special effects in the sci-fi, war, and fantasy genre. Some series of worthy note in this genre are Godzilla, Kamen Rider, Denko Chojin Gridman, and of course Power Rangers' older brother, Super Sentai. To be honest, older brother might not even be the right word to describe its relationship, because for this era, it's more of a westernized identical twin than a different person entirely. Making shows is very expensive, and making shows where there is constant action with weekly changes in settings, enemies, and special moves is even more expensive. So a way Saban got past this was to, with no shame at all, scrape a lot of the fighting sequences, morphing animations, and plot lines from Super Sentai. Meaning that a lot of our favorite Power Ranger moments we grew up on were more than likely a faithful adaptation at best, and a cheap knockoff at the least.
And I routinely see so many niggas say, well, you gotta give Samurai the credit. The suits look cold. Shinkenger. Hey, the Go Ranger was fire though. Shinkenger. The mechs. Shinkenger. The characters. Any credit you give the season in an attempt to not admit that it ain't that good ain't even originally from it. It is just a diet version of its Sentai counterpart.
Not Forever Red though. Other than the very loose connection it has with
110戦隊ガオレンジャー vs スーパー戦隊
from Super Sentai, Forever Red is a fully original story with fully original fighting sequences. Another thing that Power Rangers did that was fully original was having the same in-universe characters come back to the line of duty as a completely new Ranger. Some obvious examples being the original Mighty Morphin Ranger Jason becoming the Gold Zeo Ranger, or TJ going from the Red Turbo Ranger to the Blue Space Ranger. And that's the only ones worth mentioning. Yeah.
The second one probably not worth mentioning.
Now, before y'all start hating, don't lie. Ain't I cleaned up? Ain't I cleaned up? Ain't I cleaned up? Ain't I cleaned up? I am sweating profusely. Alright, so the thing is with Tommy, to be honest, I need to go up the mask, guys. I'm sorry. You guys definitely cannot hear me.
What you're seeing here is one of these 6, and yes, I said 6 other suits a specific character in Power Rangers had throughout the entire series. I'm of course talking about the GOAT, Dr. Tommy. I may be old, but I can still pull it off. Oliver.
You ain't nothing but a cheap copy. You're just circuits and sensors. You're nothing like me. You have no heart.
Watching the older shows was a bit of a mind-breaking moment for me, because I'm watching in real time this one dude who I know as Dr. Tommy Oliver in Dino Thunder show up in multiple different Power Ranger shows, mind you, the same Tommy Oliver character, and then being a demon back in his heyday. When I mean demon, I mean demon. And the crazy revelation realizing that the Dr. Tommy that I know is a far cry from the Tommy back in the day. It's like when Thanos already blipped half the universe and now he's just a peaceful guy playing Farm Simulator. He's just a chill guy, but back then, man oh man. From the green Mighty Morphin to the white Mighty Morphin to the red Zeo Ranger to the red Turbo Ranger, all the way to the Dino Thunder Black Ranger. There's a reason why the story of Power Rangers is nearly always followed by the mentioning of this man. He's definitely had the most screen time out of any character in the show, and the celebration of Forever Red is just as much a celebration of the Power Rangers series as it is the celebration to the contributions of Tommy. Okay, let's lay some ground rules before we talk about this. Why? Because his episode was really a product of its own time, which to be honest is a nice way of saying it had some very funky CGI and some green screen shots that in current year you can only really laugh at how rough it looked. But special effects aside, what about the story? Because despite how big the idea was, Forever Red was still given the usual 22-minute time span to begin and end because it was still part of the Wild Force TV show. Guys, so how in the world do you make an episode that encapsulates 10 years worth of Power Ranger media and fit it into a 22-minute time span? Well, I wasn't there when they made it, okay? Shocker. But with a little bit of research and a little bit of creative licensing, here's how I imagine how it went.
Yeah, I wasn't there either. If this came out in the 90s, I wasn't there. If it came out in 2000, I was probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 or 6.
On any other random weekend, 3 men sit at a table having lunch, but they can't enjoy their food. They have exactly 10 days to produce an episode that celebrates the 10 years of a franchise, compiling over 452 episodes and draft, script, shoot, and edit something that weaves all these stories together to be released as soon as they complete it. By all means, they're screwed. The first man steels himself to finally speak. His name is Koichi Sakamoto. He was the main stunt performer and fight choreographer for the Power Rangers series, and also being a veteran in the space of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and the Power Rangers, his words hold an indescribable amount of weight.
There are 5 metallic warriors,
he softly says,
because
because they're going to shoot a laser at the Earth, and we can use the Beetleborg suits from the Beetleborg show as their designs. And the first person they go for is Cole from Wild Force, and Carter comes in with his Jeep to save him, and Tommy and Jason come in at the final fight.
Now, Koichi goes on and explains everything. But the more he spoke aloud, both him and the people at the table realized something.
This was bad.
They only had 22 minutes. Taking in the intro and the outro, 19 minutes at best. There's no way they could introduce 5 new villains and make the audience care within 19 minutes. But more importantly, revealing the Rangers periodically throughout the episode doesn't work if it's supposed to be a celebration of the 10 years of Power Ranging. I mean, it would underutilize the characters and disrespect the fans, and we don't want angry fans.
Do we?
The characters at the table sit in silence. And then the second man decides to speak up valiantly. His name was Jonathan Zakor, and he had been the producer of Power Rangers for the past 10 years. Wild Force would be the last show he would work on since Disney was about to take over, and his passion for a good send-off to the series was tangible. With no time to lose, he gives a completely different take on the episode.
Okay, let's shift the focus more on the Rangers. We need to feel the grandness of the occasion. I mean, these are the 10 most famous Rangers of all time. We don't have time for plot holes and fitting it into the timeline. We need that cool factor. The heart of the episode should be focused on the relationship with the Rangers, not the story.
The 3 men like where this is going. The plot they did end up coming up with was this. 5 robots travel through the galaxy with a planet-destroying cannon. Their next target? Earth. Alpha 5, everyone's favorite helper, sends mysterious letters to each Ranger telling them where the robots will land on Earth and to defeat them. But having the Rangers only meet up at the last battle gives no room for chemistry between them.
Denied.
Now they were really hurting for time. All this talking and brainstorming, and still nothing solid. Jonathan speaks.
There's no time. We have to go with my script. No, we can't. It doesn't feel that fleshed out enough. Look, it's not like we have a choice. We need to start shooting now, or we will ruin the biggest project of our lives. If you get it, you know that we need to start production now. We're wasting time as it is.
The third man stands up. Amit Bakumi, the man who's been writing down the notes this whole time.
I have an idea. Susie, I'll need your help. And you two as well. If we pull this off, this episode might be the greatest episode of Power Rangers for years to come.
And so they begin writing, and talking, and collaborating. Just look at the script and the initials for each member at the table. This was truly a team effort. They concluded they didn't need the villain to be this uninteresting sparring dummy, but characters that represented something. I mean, come on, this is the big 10-year anniversary. You have to have a villain that's just as symbolic. They tried writing in the most known villain at the time, Dark Spectre, but after his own lackluster defeat, they felt the 22-minute episode wouldn't really do him any better justice. But what they did come up with was a mashup of all their previous ideas. 5 robots designed after the B-Fighter costumes would plan revenge on humans because they were once generals of the defeated King Mondu from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And in order to exact revenge, they would utilize something last seen all the way back in the original Mighty Morphin series. The main villain, Lord Zed's very own Megazord, the Serpent Terra. It is the perfect callback because it just disappeared without explanation in the show. So what if these generals were digging up the ruins of the Zord in order to harness its frightening and destructive power? This was good. The pacing was significantly better. The villains felt relevant and there was a consistent callback to the entire franchise with the reference of Lord Zed. All they needed now was a setting. Where could this epic battle of insane proportions take place? Well, if you watch the original show, the basic premise was this evil alien sets up shop on the moon to terrorize the town of Angel Grove with a monster every week, prompting a talking wizard head to bestow powers on, as he describes, as they mighty morph into Power Rangers to defend the town against these aliens. So tell me, what better subversion is there than to have the 10-year anniversary of this show flip the usual routine on its head, where instead of the aliens proactively attacking the humans put the aliens on the back foot? Have you guessed it? Right. The setting and the final battle would take place on the frickin' moon. Guy, now what you're seeing here is a beautiful sequence of mini battles where the Rangers are in groups of 2 and they go at it with each general. Koichi is going off in not only the morphed choreography, but the unmorphed too. Dare I say, some of the best fighting we've seen from unmorphed Rangers in the entire series. You see, Super Megaforce had none of the older Rangers do their usual one-liners or referencing anything at all. I mean, outside of their suits, there's not a lot of things to look at here that makes them, you know? It's just to see a multicolored people fighting a bunch of bums. There's no stakes there. I mean, they already stopped the main threat, so where's the real danger? But here in Forever Red, the older Rangers know just how capable that Megazord is. So they fight their hearts out.
Yeah! Alright guys, let's do it!
You got the team up of the kings of Mr. Shoot First and Ask Questions Later, Carter and Andros. You even got the rookie Wild Force Ranger Cole teaming up with the OG Red Ranger Jason. A beautiful metaphor of past and present working together. It's exactly as Veritas Joe says. A good crossover should highlight the GOAT status of the old cast, but not overshadow the new cast. And what better way to end it off than to let the rookie of the group get the final blow? A cute message showing on the passing on of the torch to the new generation of Red Rangers. It's great.
I gotta admit, you did well, rookie.
I mean, clearly you can see Cole is the main character here, but to me, this episode felt like a beautiful standing ovation for the character arc that is Tommy Oliver. I mean, come on, who would have ever thought that the reserved quiet kid from Angel Grove would be quoting the legendary words of Zordon?
Very well then, let the power protect you.
May the power protect you all.
And be in the position of leader to a bunch of other leaders in their own respective rights. From first appearing as his prodigy that instantly was on par with Jason, to being brainwashed by Rita, him breaking free from that spell, him losing his powers, then gaining them back, and then losing them again. This constant back and forth grew his bravery not just from fighting monsters, but from facing his insecurities and inner demons, ultimately climaxing as he becomes the leader of these 10 legendary Rangers. They respect him, because they know exactly what he's been through and how he still continues to fight. And the show understood that, because they give a little nod to him as he's the only one that walks away from the group, like a badass, until the world needs Tommy Oliver again.
Wow. So that was Tommy. He really is the greatest Ranger.
All right.
What?
Now I know it might not be obvious yet, but this man is on my Mount Rushmore of people I used to look up to when I was a kid. And the thing is, Tommy wasn't just cool for cool.
Alright. Appreciate y'all for watching. We're ready to get into the next video.